Boys, this is an exciting one.
This is a special episode.
I cannot believe we did this.
We had to pull some strings.
Welcome to the show, Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
What's that, baby?
Wow.
We didn't bring enough cameras.
This is our bad. This is
Yeah.
our goof. I feel like such a silly Billy, but
Well, we didn't expect to have a guest on, so we
Yeah.
only brought 2 cameras. Normally we have 3.
yeah.
It's kind of last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like
we
he-
appreciate it.
He messaged us back on WeChat like last night.
We
Yeah.
just did, it was a cold DM.
It was
Can you believe
And then
that
I
we-
was like,
yeah.
how do you have my number? And then I thought about it for like 2 seconds. I was like, you got, no.
Yeah, he's like, heard you guys play ball. You want to hang out? This literally was
Saw me on
happening
the
last
camera,
night.
you know?
G, so excited to have you here. We're gonna get your thoughts throughout various parts of this episode.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, I
hard
think he's gonna have some
interview
deep insight. And I
on,
really appreciate him
on today,
coming
April
on.
1st. Yeah.
Yes.
Also, G, he'll be a little muffled because we're actually all sick, unironically. So he's like standing like 30 feet that way with a mask on.
Yes.
So if the
He
voice
did not want to get sick.
if the voice sounds like he's not in the same room, that's why the audio is a little weird.
Yeah.
But he is here. It is April 1st for just unrelated reasons, and he's here having a good time, and I'm excited about it. Guys, we are beat. We're chopped. I have to say it. I need to get it out of the way early. The trip has slowly but surely taken its toll. If you probably chart a course from our first episode in China to now, we look beat.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
You called us a hot piece of ass earlier.
I did call you a hot piece of
Which
ass,
is
which was
nice.
meant to be an insult until I realized what I had said. We're here in Shenzhen.
Yeah.
This is the 4th city that we've been to on this trip. We started in Shanghai and then did Chengdu and then did Chongqing, and we were here in Shenzhen. And it's kind of appropriate, like what the skyline is here, which is that it's just buildings. This city is just an absolutely insane amount of building. This used to be a mud flat.
Some guy told me that. I'll tell you the basketball story in a second, where I was at last night. But they said, yeah, it used to be a really small village, small fishing village. And now massive. I was counting out my window. I can see 14 cranes. Literally 14. There was.
Yeah, oh my God, there's literally 5 over there.
Wait, this is actually for people who didn't
4
read
here.
the book club. So
5 here.
Shenzhen, the reason we were interested in this is like the high tech and electronics capital of China and kind of the world, including the broader area in the surrounding regions, not just Shenzhen. But this was the first special economic zone that our boy Deng Xiaoping created.
He's our
And
boy.
This is basically where capitalism kicked off in China. And then this literally used to be a small mudflat fishing village and has just gone up like absolute fucking crazy. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but we went to tour a factory yesterday and talked to a factory owner for a while. And on the way there, we're driving an hour and a half to another city. It is endless buildings like this being made, as far as the eye can see, forever. Like forever. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, factory owner was should we start with that? The factory owner?
No, I
or
want to hear
what?
about basketball.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you my last night basketball
Yes,
story.
that's right. We have a
Because
second
A
basketball
second basketball
angle.
story has hit the.
Well, so I don't know the details, and I'm curious if this redeems. Like
For me, it does. For me, it does. I'll tell you, last night was one of the most magical experiences I've had in China. I decided to walk to a local basketball court late at night. 2 things I'll say. I was out, it was after 10 p.m. in a city.
Yeah.
Probably could not do this safely in the part of town I'm in of Los Angeles. Just walking. I could probably do it, but I would feel something. Not only was it well lit, vibrant, bright, and this is the most glaze I'm going to give to China on everything. This was a truly magical experience. There was old people out exercising, shirtless, like on monkey bars and exercising. People were playing ping pong. People were playing tennis. I walk into a restaurant. People were super friendly. And then I go to the basketball court, and it's a bunch of like final 2-month high schoolers. They have to do the Gaokao test in 2 months. And they are just grinding basketball, having a good time. I sit down in the corner, and then one of them knows English. He asked me to come play because they need one more. I play 4-on-4 basketball for the next 2 hours till the light shut off at midnight. They just keep shouting NBA players at me. Anytime I make a shot, they go, Steph Curry! Or
You do have a striking resemblance.
I don't. Luke Kennard, they kept saying I look like him. And then they all added me on WeChat, and they found my YouTube channel from my username on WeChat, and they've been texting me like broken English summaries of some of my videos overnight. So this guy this morning, he texts me on WeChat. He goes, you have a video about Lego Ninjago. That's my childhood, bro. I was like, that's popular in China. He's like, hell yes. So I don't know. It was just an awesome experience. Everyone was super nice. And then I chatted him a bit about the education system, because we've talked about that with a lot of people, you know, especially parents we've talked to have said it's a challenge in China right now. And they all said they said this is like our one break a week. This basketball that they play at this night, outside of that, they're grinding studying.
I'm wondering what she thinks about fostering an environment that is so good for young people.
是14.5收官之年。
And so
I think I actually want to bring this up because I think last week's episode, the China Glaze, maybe we have to end the China Glaze and we have to talk about some harsher realities,
this
especially
is the follow-up.
Having talked to more people since the filming of the last episode. I think at this point we've probably had long form conversations with probably between like 10 and 15 people, like talking to them for 30 minutes to upwards of like 5 hours in some cases.
Yeah, long meals.
That man that Atrioc slept with on the train ended up being
inappropriate.
Not only an hour on the train, then a 2-hour dinner, and then Aiden every 3 or so hours turns to us in the silence and said, "Oh, Mr. Fu just texted me something," or says, "Ooh, I'm going to send this picture to Mr. Fu." And so there's this like strange train relationship going on that I'm pretty sure he is sending to you in Chinese, right?
Yeah,
and you're having to translate.
Yeah, and then I translate it, and then but he always gives good tips.
Mr. Fu's
and I can't wait for future episodes where Aiden says, "I have a friend in China, Mr. Fu."
Mr. Fu.
And I called Mr. Fu to get his thoughts. I'm so excited for it.
So I think a number of the people we've spoken to in these more recent conversations have been younger, and we're getting a feel for the maybe difficulties of young people right now in the current economic state of China. And I figured we could start with the conversation that you had last night with an employee that works at Huawei or used to work at Huawei.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are two friends of Steffik's, our lovely, wonderful interpreter, and they all went to UCSD together. So I thought this was particularly unique in that these are folks who grew up in China. One of them went to high school in Minnesota, and the other just went to UCSD. And then Stefik was the only one who was able to stay in America and get a job. The other two wanted to stay and could not. So first off, I thought that was interesting. And I expressed the stupidity of our current immigration system where we welcome people from around the world to get a great education in America, and then we kick them out because they couldn't find a job quickly enough. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? So they both came back here. They're both 25. One is working in Hong Kong now. Is basically like a product manager for like aviation type stuff. And then the other is working at Huawei, doing sort of like technical review type stuff. I think this is interesting in that it's not like a crazy job for either one of them. It sounds like it's typical white collar stuff. If you went to university, you got to like work at a company and have a nice gig. I'll list out a bunch of the things that we talked about, but I think the high level thing that really struck me is, dude, we're all the fucking same. At one point I said, okay, so for young people right now, how do you guys feel about dating? Because in America, everybody's feeling very frustrated with it. They're drinking less. People are getting sick of dating apps, and it's like hard to find third spaces to connect with people. So they're increasingly online and feeling lonely. And they're both like, it's exactly the same here. It is exactly the same. It's just, the older folks we've talked to who are, let's say 30, late 30s or older, are all like, China fucking rips hard.
Yeah, dude. The older, and I gotta say, like, the more well-off or stable they seem, the more they just seem 100% bought in.
I think a good note here is she.
I'd
love to gas you up for a sec. The most pro. I think one thing I want to correct from like last week's episode is I think people have this idea that people can't be critical of the government here in any conversation they have, and that's why we got a lot of positive things from people. But people are pretty nuanced in their feedback. They're often critical of the government. They're often critical of Xi by name. Sorry.
我们出力奋发，
Is this okay to say?
勇毅前行。
We'll talk about it after. We'll sort it out. And there's seems to be a trend of the people we talk to is the older and wealthier you are, the more you like Xi. And the younger you are, the less you like Xi.
100%. That is a trend we've seen from multiple long-form interviews, which is funny because it's kind of like boomers in America. Yeah. The more boomer you are, the more it's like, yeah, shit's been pretty good. It feels like even here?
Even here.
It feels like everywhere across the earth, but especially I think in America and China, what I'm seeing is like this higher youth unemployment, this a little bit of an economic slowdown and like good white collar jobs for new graduates. Mm-hmm. And then just generalizing like costs. So it's like this tension exists in both places, and it's leading to a lot of disaffected youth. And that seems fully here.
Yeah.
The unique quirk, did you talk about education system at all?
No, but let's dive into it.
I think we should dive into it because I think that is one thing that's been a through line of a lot of our conversations, which is just how.
Can one of you guys give a background of the Gao Cow and the Jiao
Junkao.
Juntao? Can you? Because you guys have talked to people more than I have about that.
So
what's the deal? Because it's
there's
way
like-
more intense than American education or European.
There's like 3 big exams from my understanding. You have the first one you encounter is the Shuokao. I'm not pronouncing. Shaokao.
Thank you,
Shaokao. And you take that one to get into the equivalent of middle school. And then there is the Junkao, which is the one you take to get into high school. And then there's the Gaokao, which decides, likely what college you go to. And it's interesting because I think the outside perspective is often the Gaokao is this very intense thing, which it is.
Yeah.
But the Junkao has come up almost way more, like its importance in place in the intensity of the education system and what it sets you up for in those high school years has come up a lot. Apparently, there's a recent change in the last year where if you're in the bottom 50% of Junkao performers, you're going to go into a vocational or trade high school instead of a more academic one. Apparently, it was a little always like that, but now it's from the top-down decision from the government is we need to funnel more people into these vocational roles. And also, what's come up a lot is through all of these tests, the positive things we've heard about it from a handful of people is back in the day, it's a very meritocratic system that people, no matter where they live in the country, no matter what their income status is, if they grind hard enough, your scores on these tests can dramatically change your life and put you into the best universities, into the best jobs. And there's a very definable pipeline there. But as time has passed and as wealth inequality has climbed between the richest and poorest, even though the quality of life for the poorest people has improved considerably, the abuse and arms race of how much you need to study to succeed on these things has dramatically changed. So what we learned from this 29-year-old guy who used to work in real estate is even 10 years ago, around when he was taking the exam, he was like, I did study hard, but I didn't have to study as hard as the kids do now.
I asked him that. I asked the kids last night that, and they said it gets harder every year. That's what they
we're
said.
talking, by the way, we were talking about kids who going into high school in 9th grade, 8th and 9th grade are spending 2 years where almost every day, almost all the time, you are grinding tests because otherwise you aren't going to get to go to a high school where you get a higher education. You get forced into a vocational school so that you can end up in a factory. That's for fucking 8th and 9th graders. It's 2 straight years. I just want to underscore how intense this is compared to what we have.
Yeah, I think the incentives.
This is going to high school. It's not SATs going into college like we have. They have their own version of that, as well.
I think very naturally, too, the people who have been most critical of the system have been the people in their late 30s, early 40s who have kids. They both said this is one of the number one problems in China, presumably because it affects their children very directly.
Yeah.
And the way that the tutoring companies, there was this arms race among tutoring companies to get extra, to help your kid out, and all of the money that went into that. We asked them about the tutor company crackdowns that had supposedly happened in the last couple years, and every single person that I've asked this without fail says, yeah, I mean, nothing actually changed. The tutoring companies on the surface went away, but the tutoring economy still exists.
No, it's like you said, right? The incentive is so strong because of the good part of it, which is that it can change your life. You could do good on this test. You could be from a poor background. It could change your life. You can do a good school. Your whole life's different.
Yeah, but it's getting harder for poor people in this system to use it to succeed.
So because of those incentives, wealthy parents will spend any amount of money on private tutors, private anything to get their kid an advantage. And the state tried to crack down on that by banning that, but all it did was move it underground. Not a single person we talked to, like you said, thinks that it's gone. And so, this is becoming a huge problem where people are just constantly competing to stay at almost the same spot. There's nobody really getting ahead. And apparently that used to be different. Guy we talked to who was only 29. He was like, yeah, that used to be you could, I studied hard, but not that hard. Which, by the way, I think he studied. Based on what he was saying, he seemed like he
I mean, he seemed like a humble guy.
Yeah.
I was wondering when you shared about playing basketball, I was like, damn, kids are playing basketball from 10 p.m. until midnight. But then I thought about it. It was like, maybe this is the only time they have
That's
to
what they
do
said.
it.
They said, literally, this is our only time. This is our break. I was like, you guys stressed? They said, yes. They're like, it's in 2 months. They're grinding.
I'm curious from either of you, like from these hangouts with these two younger people, the basketball last night, any more big takeaways of what they're dealing with at the moment?
I got some pay for you. So they were willing to share their pay and said we could share it on the thing.
Oh, wow.
So I think this is an interesting example. We've talked to folks across the spectrum, including a delivery driver who made, I believe, 10,000 RMB a month, right?
Yeah.
Was what we landed on. We talked to...
That was in Shanghai.
That was in Shanghai.
And he was grinding.
Which is higher, and he was grinding. In Chongqing, we talked to our tour guide who's lived there her whole life. She was saying that on the lower end for Chongqing, it's like 4,000 to 5,000 RMB a month. G, what is that in US dollars?
克服重重困难挑战。
Okay, thanks. I'll Google it as well.
Thank you.
Just to check.
You're fact checking Xi Jinping.
No.
That reminds me of Aiden last night. What did you say? You said, I think.
What?
You said, I think Xi Jinping probably has a translator for English. It was the dumbest thing I've ever heard Aiden say.
I was making a joke.
No, you turned it into a joke.
I was making a fucking joke.
We were talking about how Xi Jinping does speak English.
We were talking about if she speaks English, because when I looked this up, I've never been able to find public video of him doing so. And I was just like, he's probably got a guy.
He's probably got a guy.
Which, do you have a guy?
圆满完成。
You don't?
Gee, this interview would be a lot easier if you just
I wasn't
spoke
joking.
English. Okay, so on the low end in Chongqing, it was like 5,000 RMB a month, 4,000 to 5,000, which is about 720 US dollars. And then for the, somebody who's doing well, by standards with delivery driver, that's 1,400 US dollars a month, 10,000 RMB. So by contrast, these two folks are in a more white collar job. It's about 21,000 RMB a month, and that's $3,000. So this is getting to like, sort of America salaries in that general range, right? And so asking that, I was just like, how do you feel about your pay? And they're like, it is great. It is really good. Like Huawei pays well. This Hong Kong company pays well. What happens a lot for Hong Kong, for people who are not aware, it's right below Shenzhen. So a lot of people live here in this city because it's so massive and there's so much development and it's way, way cheaper. And they just commute into Hong Kong every day. It's like an hour and a half by train, but everybody's like, look, it's going to be, X amount cheaper here.
It's like those people that work in like rural parts of France and then they commute into Switzerland. It's like you're going from just a low cost living area to one of the most expensive places in the world, and then you just go home across the border and it gets magically cheaper again.
Yeah. But one of the things I asked was like, did you guys pick these jobs because you liked it, or is it like the one job you could get? And they're like, it's the one job. Like it is rough. It sounds like, again, just like us, young people are like, it's really hard to find a job. You don't have a lot of choice. It's super competitive. So you take what you can get. And both of them are in situations where it sounds like they don't necessarily love their job. I don't know if you think that's fair. She was there, by the way. But they're still like, okay, it's great for the current. So even, the guy who works at Huawei is considering doing a master's in Hong Kong. But the fear is if he does that, he's leaving his current job. Who knows if he'll be able to
find a new
Who
one?
knows if he'll be able to get one? Who knows if, again, just like in America, if a higher education is even going to be that valuable? And you do have to pay for school here in China, apparently. And here's one of the crazy things I didn't know. In America, if you come and study at American university, not only do you pay tuition, you pay way more as a foreign student, even out of state.
Oh, yeah.
Right? To go to the UCS.
That's why the universities love it, because they make bank off.
They make tons of money off of foreign students. Even a mainland China resident who goes and studies in Hong Kong gets charged a foreigner tax.
wow.
The rate goes up because of that, which I was like, that is crazy. So it's
actually
one
now,
party,
especially.
two systems. They're right next to each other. They're commuting from Shenzhen, and it's like, well, you're a foreigner. You live in mainland China instead of Hong Kong.
Pay that tax.
I'm starting to feel like it's not a part of China in the same way that the rest of the.
And then another kind of fun tidbit I saw was that his girlfriend runs a small fashion brand. There's like, I think 3 of them running the company, and they like pick items that they like. I think they do some designing, some is like they find items and then they're kind of selling them as part of their brand. So they're pitching themselves as this, sort of niche fashion brand. So small business, and their marketing is all from live streaming. So every night, I don't know how many days a week, but I think most nights a week from 9 p.m. till 1 a.m., they are streaming those streams you've seen where they're just showing different clothes. It's somebody walking up to the camera and saying, this article of clothing looks really great. They put it on, they take it off, they go to the next one. And then Stevik showed me on the, Chinese TikTok, basically, Taobao. Is it more of a marketplace or TikTok? It's Amazon. Okay, so their equivalent of Amazon. The second tab on the app is shopping live streams. And they had 100,000 people watching all the top
They're
ones.
huge.
All the top ones, which is just people putting on items of clothing or showing things on and off. And this is how his girlfriend, their streams, because it was live, we saw it live, is only 80 viewers per stream. But that's enough to get a couple repeat customers and a couple orders. Right. And apparently you do this at night because then everybody's home from work and they're more likely to spend money. And this is just the way you market right now. And it's fucking wild.
Yeah, the biggest ones are making millions. They're moving millions of dollars of product. This has been for a while now, and they keep trying to make it happen in America, or in the West at least. I think you heard of Whatnot? It's starting to pop off. They're trying to do it. It's all trying to learn from the Chinese live stream shopping, but it hasn't quite hit over in the...
I don't get it.
Yeah?
I don't want to fucking watch someone advertising me clothes, but it is brain rot. It's really
QVC was big
is
for
incredible.
boomers. I assume this could be Zoomer QVC eventually.
QVC was big because there's nothing else to watch, right? That's at 3 a.m. you're awake and there's nothing on the channel.
Maybe this is that. Maybe you just want this background of
haven't you ever had that thought of, as a kid, seeing infomercials on TV and being like, who the fuck watches this? And then realizing that we're all the same.
Stevik said her mom exclusively buys live stream shopping clothes now. That's where she buys all her clothes. It's massive. It's crazy.
Did they talk to you at all about I guess for the kids in school, this would be a little different, but for these jobs, do they talk about their hours at all? We've heard a few things about that.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah. So in our book club that you can listen to with our tier 2 Patreon, we read 2 books about China last year. One is called Breakneck, which I really recommend. It's basically comparing America to China. I think that was the better of the 2. But there's also the book House of Huawei, which we also read, which is about the history of Huawei, the company. Very short primer for people. This is one of the companies that started up when Shenzhen became the special economic capitalism zone. And then they built up, and it's all telecoms, and they sort of spread throughout China, then started spreading throughout the world. And then there's this infamous battle with the United States where Trump locked onto Huawei and said, this is a security threat, and got the entire world, most of the world, to stop using them and attack them. So it's a death knell for the company. So in that book, they talk about how in the early days of Huawei, people literally worked themselves to death. Mm-hmm. Literally would die in the office from overwork and exhaustion, or they would be going out into small villages and whatnot. And the expectation is, if you don't return with all of the business that we asked, if you don't personally take out all of the potential clients every night, hardcore heavy drinking, you're a failure. So it was really, really insane of a company for 20 or 30 years. It sounds like it's a lot more chill now. So for him, his hours are 9 to 6. It's 5 days a week, except the 4th Saturday of every month you have to go in. So instead of being forced to go 6 to 7 days a week, it's 5 and then this. But then he followed up and said, I have a more chill department. Some of the departments are still going insanely hard. And then one of the wild things is the crazy stories about Huawei in the early days. They would have senior employees who were hitting the you're going to get a promotion and get tenure and get all these things by law. If you're hitting the 9 or 10 year mark, those people would voluntarily quit the company, immediately get rehired. And that way, Huawei doesn't have to spend more money on you. And you're sacrificing for the company. That still exists. He was oh yeah, people still do that.
That's crazy.
So once you get to the point where you're ready to get promoted after 9 or 10 years with the company, you quit so they can rehire you at your same position so you don't have to be promoted. That's the kind of intensity that they have for this company.
The 29-year-old we talked to did mention something about, he talked about age and how, I don't know if he said 35 or 45, but he's after that, they don't want you for these tech companies. I have to make the money now, because after that, it's much harder for them to keep me because I'm not going to want to put many hours, or they're going to not pay me as well.
Okay, wait. One final tidbit or a story that was fascinating. Part of the interviews, before you go into in-person interviews with Huawei, they do a personality test, like a Myers-Briggs personality test. You answer all these questions, and they only are going to move you to the next round. Both of them had actually applied, and she had applied and gotten denied. And he specifically looked up how to answer the personality test so that it would make him look really submissive. And that got him the next round. So they literally use a personality test as a barrier to find people who are submissive and will do whatever they're told to do, like endless amounts. And those are the people they hire. That's fucking crazy.
I think this is a theme across pretty much any
We
job.
do that, but we have the balls to do it in person, you know?
Right. They just.
At least we say it to your face.
We say to your face, you're not weak.
People work extraordinarily hard here. I think we have heard from people that workers' rights have improved over time, like over the last few decades, but the hours that people work as like the standard at whatever job people are at are pretty extreme. Like we were talking to the factory owner, and it sounds like most people at the factory that makes clothes, everybody there comes in 6 days a week, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and also often work overtime. And then with people in the offices, they drop a day. They work like 5 days a week.
You said 5.5.
Yeah, he said 5.5.
So it's like you're still going in on a Saturday. You just get to have the evening to yourself.
Yeah, and then I think that's carried through. Like even the one kid who was talking about making 10,000 yuan a month from doing delivery, he is working 7. He literally said he works 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I do not think there's a single person I've talked to here where they're not verging on like the 966 thing that you hear about Chinese work hours seems to be very true from talking to everybody.
我们以文化
996
9 to 9, 6 days a week. Yeah, it's brutal hours. And I wait, sorry, keep going. Sorry.
I mean not literally 9 to 9 every day, but the most people working at least 9 hours every day, 6 days.
Oh, the factory. I remember so we toured the factory, and yeah,
Wait,
like
what's the context? What is this factory for people who don't know? We didn't just like roll up randomly.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
so the factory, it interestingly enough, is had the opportunity to go to the factory that makes most of the cut and sew clothes for Mogul Moves and The Yard, and we've worked with them for like 5 years, I think. So the owner of the factory gave us a full tour of the facility. It's a relatively small factory compared to other ones. And then we sat down and got to interview him for 2 hours. And then we went to another like 2.5 hour dinner. And yeah, so that's the context of how we found this.
Yeah, he was a fascinating guy. His life, I mean, the guy looked 40, but was actually 60 something.
I couldn't believe that. I was...
And had
he was
been
saying,
through
dropping bro and holy.
Yeah, he had a couple
Literally by
English
the end, he was dapping us as we left. That was how he left.
He was a
he
chill
was
guy.
like, you guys want to check out my new car? It was like,
Here's one of the guys, as we mentioned, who's a little more positive. Actually, a lot more positive.
He was a way more positive.
Because
about
this
Xi.
guy, you know, he's 64, which means he had been around for Mao through now and seen just absolute radical changes in China, and like, you know, overall up into the right, massive changes in the city. So, and you know, he had a really nice car, and like he's balling. He did say he wanted to retire, but his boss, which is his wife, wouldn't let him. But anyway, so we're at the factory. On the hours discussion, we're touring the factory, and it was like you said, they're working diligently. I don't see a lot of breaks, and it's like
No kids.
he mentioned that.
I want to make it so clear. No kids.
these are the oldest kids I've ever seen.
If they're kids,
These kids
there's some beat
Gray
kids.
hair.
I was
the
so
workers
sure
are
that
like
Mogul
they're-
Moves would use child labor. I just thought that's Ludwig's brand.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to
Yeah,
use.
yeah.
But there was no children there. And in fact, the guy made a specific mention of like how experienced and not children these workers were.
But were you upset to see that they didn't have the same
Aiden was
nimble
upset.
fingers
Yep.
that you had hoped for when you were
Aiden, I
working
could
with
see
the Chinese?
Aiden shaking his head
Aiden
and
was just like,
scoffing.
this is not the cruel standards that I had hoped for.
I told you I didn't want to talk about this on the episode.
And she
I
doesn't
didn't want to
talk about
dig
it
into
either.
this.
Yeah.
But there's a leaderboard. You know, there were people like sewing clothes, and they had like a digital leaderboard tracking everyone's name and the number of. I mean, this is probably standard in a factory, but it just was. It was wild. You know, the level of output and consistency. I think the I don't know, the treatment and everything there was good, but it's a lot of hours, a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't think I really understood all of the ins and outs of the process to make the clothes itself. It was really interesting to just see that. But then also what like they work these crazy hours, but they also get lunch and dinner provided by the factory, which it sounds like is normal. And then they also, a lot of them lived in the
Nearby.
apartment complex literally next door. And it seems like something similar is very standard at a lot of the larger factories too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Well, you go into this guy's. I mean, that guy's discussion was one of the most fascinating. He gave us hours of discussion. He had a lot to say, and in fact, you're gonna like to hear this. He was the most positive on Xi Jinping of anybody we interviewed. He said Xi Jinping is a genius.
Yeah. We just asked. We're like, who do you think is the? You did it tactfully. We've been asking a number of people like, so what do you think about Xi Jinping? And then people will literally tell us, and a bunch have said no, he's not that good. It's the Chinese people are what makes this successful. And then you framed it more tactfully. And
I just listed all the leaders he's been alive for.
Yeah, and you said which do you think?
And I was like, "Who's your
best?
favorite?" And he was like, "No question, Xi
He's
Jinping."
the best, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
No question.
It was awesome. So congrats.
Congrats, yeah, that's a big win for you.
Yeah. He did. He then followed up, and I was like, "Are you concerned at all about the lack of term limits? Like that Xi's just going to be there forever?" And he's like, "Nope, we still have term limits. There's a limit. He can't be chairman forever." And I was like, "I thought they abolished that. I thought he abolished the term limits." And he's like, "Nope, that's propaganda. See, this is why you can't trust everything, and people tell you false things about China." And we all looked at each other,
he was
and we're like,
basically
"That is not true. He did do that.
You abolished term limits.
You
be honest, bro.
Ah,
Be honest, bro. You abolished them.
But I was looking this up because I was like, maybe there's just something I missed here.
Yeah.
Because what he was saying is he raised the cap of term limits from 2 to 4. And it's not like they're gone entirely. And I was like, oh, maybe I just misunderstood when this decision was made. I can't find anything that says that's the case. So I was like, I don't need to be right about this. I've just never seen what you're telling me anywhere.
Yeah. I couldn't find any verification for his claim that there was.
But it's the same thing. It's and I just to reiterate the theme that we felt and expressed in the previous episode, that almost everyone, I think, except younger people, like mid-20s or younger, everybody older than that has expressed China has developed so much, has become so much better. It's an amazing place to live now. It's incredibly convenient. And he expressed the exact same thing. And again, like he grew up in Hong Kong, fucking across the water would have been this with nothing here. And he's in his lifetime, this has developed into this mega city, and talked about how much the supply chains have improved, how much the quality of fabric and materials across China has improved, how he as a factory, he went and like founded his own factory, like how much better the standards are across the entire country, how quick everything is, just like from a logistics perspective, has just said like it is unbelievable the amount of change. And so you hear that from everyone.
Something we've talked about before, which is that, in the initial days of China industrializing or getting foreign capital, they were cheap labor. That's what they started out as doing. There's factories that would do cheap labor. And now they've sort of moved up the value chain. And the new cheap labor he was mentioning is like Vietnam,
Cambodia,
Bangladesh, Cambodia. And so factories are actually moving the real basic stuff there. That's where that's going. Yeah, like Chinese factories are moving some stuff there and then just sending the fabrics. But the higher end stuff is staying in China because they have process knowledge and infrastructure.
He also said something I thought, because that was one of my big questions, is how does the competition around these things work? Like, where do the Chinese factories and companies locally still find their business? And he said that they're more cost competitive than people think because of the supply chain infrastructure that's been built up in China. He's basically said, like, there's so much infrastructure and so much supply chain knowledge here, which was something that was super highlighted in Breakneck, that book we read,
right?
That because that doesn't exist in those foreign countries, we can remain relatively cost competitive with the factories that start up there that aren't owned by Chinese companies.
Right.
Yeah, some examples he gave were, let's say you need a specific type of fabric. He calls somebody and in 2 days, a massive amount is delivered to his factory, right? You can't get that in other places. They would have to do a whole giant supply chain thing. Special parts, custom washes, like for your guys' clothes, like if you need a specialized thing to make clothes look a certain way, or, you know, special metal pieces that are custom designed, like all of that can be done instantly in this broader area of China. Like everybody making the fundamentals are here, so everybody can just pass it to each other super fast.
Dude, the big thing was the tariffs. He talked about the tariffs and how they impacted his business. You know, there's this sense, I think, on if you were like against Trump in America, which I am, but you would say something like the tariffs are only hurting people in America. It only increased prices. The truth is, it did hurt. It hurt factory owners in China as well, but the jobs just didn't move to America. That, like, his takeaway was that their business slowed down 20 to 30%, and that they had to find ways to cut costs or whatever to try and make it competitive. However, he also mentioned that to get around that, either factories were at that time moving to, you know, different in-between countries, or we went into more details on, like, and this is like stuff we heard from either other people, but like of the ways people avoid tariffs altogether by shipping through.
Yeah, he was saying like big companies that produce a lot of like standardized blanks would send like a shirt that doesn't have one of the sleeves on it. And then they would send, you know, like thousands of that shirt to a factory in Indonesia where they would sew the last sleeve on it and then change the label.
Yeah. And now it's an Indonesian shirt.
Now it's an Indonesian shirt.
And the
you don't
tariff's
have to pay
lower.
the tariff.
I have my issues with Trump, but he has been a job creator for Indonesia. For Indonesia. I just want to underscore this. According to this to Andy, who we spoke with for a long period of time, none of these companies were like, there's tariffs now, we should set up shop in America. They just moved to cheaper.
They just found cheaper places.
South Asian countries. It's like, what is the fucking point?
He was talking about some of the consequences of AI in this industry too, or the consequences of AI that he expects. He seems like a pretty pro AI guy, but he said one of the things that these larger factories are looking to do are their process is already fairly automated compared to a factory like his. To briefly explain the difference, his factory makes smaller amounts of highly custom sweatshirts or jackets or whatever, which is what the reason that we work with a company like his is because it's very difficult to get the customization we want at the volume we want with a lot of other places. Like if I were to try to do that in the US, it'd be especially difficult. But he said that larger factories are outputting like thousands of the same item. And because of that, they've automated a lot more than his factory has. And we did see that like so much of what is done at his place is like hand sewn or hand cut because of how frequently the products change. Right. And he doesn't really have a choice. And he said the goal of a lot of these larger factories especially is using AI and robots to basically get rid of everybody in the long run. Have a completely automated factory that is running 24/7 that doesn't have to employ any people. And it was interesting to see him talk candidly about the consequences of that.
I don't think he was so positive. He was like, it's happening. He was like shrugging his shoulders, like, what can you do?
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. He's like, I want to take a course to learn about AI because this is the way it's going. I have to figure it out. And this is what the bigger factories are doing. I don't think he was like, I'm so stoked to.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. He was also talking about robots being the caretakers for the elderly as the population ages.
Yeah, because of the demographic problem.
He's like, no old woman wants to help her husband shower every day. But
the robot will.
But the robot will do it fine. Who bathes you?
I bet he has somebody who can help bathe.
Yeah, I bet. He probably has a bathing guy.
I bet he has a bathing guy.
Almost certainly.
And another theme we heard and expressed this in our previous episode, and it continues to be expressed over and over and over by people here, which is that Chinese people are used to change, and they are used to the idea that their culture is changing, or not even like culture, but the world is changing, technology is upgrading things, and again, the average Chinese person has seen a massive change in the world around them that has made their lives measurably better over the last 30, 40 years. And so when something like AI comes along, they aren't scared or terrified or trying to stop it. They're just saying, this is the next set of changes that we are going to adapt to.
I think he put it the most eloquently out of everyone we've talked to. We did record record that interview too. We might even be able to cut. I feel like his answer to that specific question was amazing. So maybe we actually even cut it into the
slot
episode.
it here, and then G gets a counter argument.
But Chinese people, they get used to the way we keep changing. No big deal. Am I right? No big deal here. Everybody get used to. So, okay. Wow, AI. It's good future for us. Then we have to learn. I'm an old guy, but I still want to take a course of AI. You know what I think is nothing about money. Just like life have to carry on. And then just like the cell phone. Long time ago, the analogs for look here, the best, right? But out of the business. Not just us. People don't want to learn from the smartphone. But eventually they need to learn it. Otherwise, you can't survive. Because you need the phone to communicate with the world, with people. Okay, like the computer long time ago. Quite a lot of top management, they didn't want to touch it. Oh, annoying. I got a secretary, help me out. But they were out of the day, just a matter of time. They forced them to learn from the computer. Learn from the computer, all that, The same case like here, right now. But Chinese people, they get used to it. Keep changing. Every single day, every single year is something new. Wow, amazing. We feel, wow, so amazing. We love to see that. So everybody, especially those young guys, teenagers, even the old guy like me, okay. We need to learn something. Otherwise, we're out of date. I can't communicate with those people, with my friends, all that. So we need to learn something.
I think in the spirit of maybe the anti-Glaze episode, are there any other things?
There's a massive one.
After
I
we've
wanna
been here
jump
for
in.
like 2+
Dim sum
weeks.
fucking sucks.
No, the dim sum was incredible.
That was incredible. If anything, if you can't knock anything, it's the food.
They don't have sticky rice, and they don't have. Oh my god, what is it? They don't have a rice noodle. What the
They
fuck?
have these things.
Not at the places we're going to. We've eaten 3
These
goose
are
in a row.
not the anti-glaze things.
Do you know how many fucking geese we've eaten in the last 28 hours?
Obviously, easy to glaze the incredible food, and people's been great, and the cities are obviously incredible. Okay,
But what are things you
I want to
think are
give
bad?
the biggest anti-glaze because it's the thing I was the most interested in learning about. And every single person, from the most die-hard I love Xi Jinping China glazer to the hey I'm trying to get out of here, from everyone we talked to, had that same agreement on this. It's the one thing universally agreed on. The real estate crisis is real. It is real. Every single person has said there's been a massive downturn. Now, whether it's not China ends in 30 days, not by any means. And in fact, we're seeing so much construction out here. But the truth is, if you don't know, there was a gigantic bubble in Chinese real estate. Everybody put their savings into apartments and houses and buildings. There are buildings everywhere. There are multiple apartments. People have multiple apartments. And the prices of these have been cratering. And so it's the reason behind a lot of the job slowdown and a lot of because there's just a general lack of willingness to spend because so much of the savings is tied up in apartments that are growing more and more worthless. This is like everyone has agreed on it. Even that guy who was 100% all in was like, yeah, it's a problem, but they're doing the right thing. We'll get through it. But nobody disagreed that was a downturn. And so I guess it's just good to verify because you read a lot of sources about this, but you're like, what is it on the ground? And people are feeling it. And they know that, yeah.
Yeah, the guy we talked to who worked in real estate.
Yeah, he was the most dire.
Yeah, interned at Evergrande,
Yeah.
right? Mentioned how he's been looking into this, and he said there are probably, from his estimates, and this is somebody who's really like researched this stuff, while acknowledging that it's hard to know the exact scale of it, that there are probably millions of Chinese citizens for whom they bought a home that was supposed to be constructed because you buy it before the building goes up. And again, just these condos are going up everywhere all the time for the entire train ride across the entire country, right? And people would buy these homes and they just don't get built. And then you're just fucked. There's no recourse. You can't go to the local government. You can't do the fucking shell companies. You can't do anything. And there's millions of people who basically bought a home. That was going to be their big nest egg, and it is just not there, and they just have to accept it.
Yeah, the specifics are a little vague, but it seems like there's like early programs that are meant to help people in this position, and some people are being helped, but the majority of people in this situation are, quote, they're just fucked.
The scale is just massive. It's just a mass. It is very, we talked with a guy. It was funny. You guys seen The Big Short? It's like the scene at the dinner when they're understanding the size of the bubble. Aiden's face was like, as this guy was walking through the details of like how local governments will use shell companies to borrow money to try to develop land. And then if they can't make any money on that, so they have to shuffle the debt off to a different, it was wild.
Yeah, can you walk through the steps of like?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll say
this is somebody who's talked to local governments about the process of this. Somebody who's been on the ground talking with them, and he walked us through this weird process that is funding all of this building despite it being a disaster.
I think to quickly contextualize, he wasn't just an intern at Evergrande. He continued to work in the real estate industry after for years. And then he recently left the industry to go work at a different company because of the downturn.
Yeah, because of the downturn. Yeah, 100%. And I want to say there is a difference between, the tier one cities like we're in. You can still see, obviously, a ton of construction things. These are still popping. Like the bigger cities are way more insulated from this. But what the real problem was all the other areas where there was just a ton of building. But the main thing is, collecting taxes for local governments is not something they've built a great infrastructure for. They're not pulling in a lot of income tax money. And so a lot of the way that local governments in China are funded is through selling land or renting land out to be developed. And so they had an enormous incentive to do as much development as possible. And so what they would often do is they would set up a shell corporation from the local government, which would then borrow money to either purchase the land if they needed to purchase it to be developed, or to loan to developers to start developing. And the problem with that is that the thing you are creating, if it doesn't continue to go up in value, you can no longer pay back that development money. And so as everything was sort of working while prices continue to go up, but as prices are now declining, these local governments can no longer profitably rent out any of this land. And so they can't fund a lot. Like you were saying, bus services were getting shut down in some places, and like it's just becoming more difficult for them to fund their thing. So the central government has to step in and like buy a lot of this bad debt off of their books, but it's becoming this sort of chaotic problem.
And he also explained that the local, it sounds like from what I'm gathering across more conversations, is corruption at like a local government level is still relatively rampant. And the central government is doing their best. And one of the things we've heard Xi be like praised for, criticized for in some other ways, is the cracking down on this corruption within local governments. And the local government appointees have a large incentive to continue building and continue taking out this debt because it was one of the major metrics that they were judged
to get promoted, yeah.
To get promoted. And if you're in a local government position where you can take out a bunch of debt, build a bunch of stuff, get promoted, you can pass the buck of the debt to whoever the next guy is. So it created this big pipeline of people trying to move as many infrastructure projects forward as possible so that they can go up the chain themselves, and then we'll deal with the debt problem later.
100%. Yeah, that even the guy who was, the most pro Xi Jinping, he was like, he's great, the local governments are still corrupt. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And that was the incentive structure. But now again, I think we have a very similar incentive structure where people in our government overspend because they know the problem is passed to the next person. But in here, it's very concentrated in the local governments where they are just dumping borrowed money on things that that may not make sense. I think the first wave of infrastructure always makes a lot of sense. You build the first train or the first bridge or the first whatever, but they're just continually doing it because that's how you get promoted. That gets you your growth target.
Help me say this if you think my understanding is incorrect. He was basically saying that local government officials currently in charge that own these buildings or that could be leased for commercial purposes or leased for housing purposes don't want to put them on the market because then the loss will be realized from an accounting perspective.
Yeah, okay.
So they can basically hide the values of these things crashing and maintain the facade of these things being worth the amount of money they want them to be if they just don't actually sell them.
Yeah, so if you're a local government and you have this plot of land that is currently like unfilled apartments or whatever, it's not doing so well. So you make a shell company, you take out debt, you buy that land, and then you're going to build a mall. Now, you haven't done any research or studies whether this mall will be supported, whether enough people will actually use this to make it worth the money you spent. And so what they do is they build the mall. They find out that they can't even fill the space properly. They just can't. They're not making money on this, not even to justify the cost of building it. And they can't pay the interest on the debt. But if they were to sell the land and like declare it a loss, then on the books, they would have to mark down. See, the mall is worth what they paid for it until they sell it.
Yep.
And so they're just kind of like going forward with everything, knowing that the next guy will have to deal with the problem and sell it.
To give a visual, if you've seen The Big Short, it's that scene where Michael Burry is talking to the banks, and he is saying that if the underlying like assets are crumbling, how can you tell me that like there's no drop in price of the CDOs? Like that doesn't make any sense. And it's the same thing.
If you don't sell them ever, you can't prove that people don't want it.
Because they don't need, there's no incentive for them to mark it down before that.
It's something going on in private credit right now in America. It's just very similar. But I guess the thing that this guy was so insistent upon was that this is massive. Like this is one of the most leveraged bubbles of all, leverage as in like using a lot of debt, bubbles of all time, and is in a and I will say, you know, I kind of pushed him on this. It feels like the way they're handling it, getting into the situation in the first place was a disaster. Like it's clearly a problem, but the way they're handling it is like a slow deflation over many years that is avoiding societal
Collapse.
Not collapse, but like disruption. Like they are implying that there's maybe the guy estimated 4 or 5 years to go. And
well, it's kind of tough too because
fucking right into the mic, man.
sorry.
Isn't it
Sorry, G.
kind of tough? There is the argument that, I mean, in the case of like the American housing crisis at the time too, is you need to let the corrective period play out in order to start fixing the root of the problem.
No, I asked him that. I was like, well, you know, you're talking about the prices keep going down and the price of everything is going down because there's deflation. And there's, you know, the consequence of that in the short term is that there's no jobs and the economy is really slow. But for a young person, eventually it's like, I can get an affordable place and things are more affordable. And so I asked him that and he's like, yeah, well, it has to happen. So, you know, I on some level, I have to give credit there, but I do want to say, you know, for people that are like, well, housing shouldn't be an investment. You should do it more like China. It's like they did it as an investment for now 30 years. Like they've created one of the largest, like people put money in it. I'm dying. Xi Jinping is killing me for my truth.
Support for this show comes from tastytrade.
Guys, I'm getting real tired of you not knowing serious financial terms on this show, okay? Steve Eisman comes on and we can't even explain ourselves in the complicated financial ways. We seem like chumps.
Is Bitcoin a money?
This is the problem, Aiden. So I came up with a quiz to test you on your financial knowledge.
I've
You're
got
going to
this
tell
on
me
lock.
if these are real or fake, okay?
Okay, these are financial terms.
Yes.
Okay.
The Lady Macbeth strategy, is that real or fake?
That's a chess opening. That's not real.
That's real for sure.
It's real.
Really?
It's real.
Okay.
Yes.
Everyone knows that.
What about momentum canceling?
Momentum cancel. That's from Melee.
Fake.
Yeah, it's from Melee. All right, what about a broken wing butterfly?
That's gotta be. It's too weird to be made up.
That
Doesn't make
feels
any-
like it's
like it's
real.
a momentum
Feels like it's
That's
real.
a fair point. That's a fair point.
Okay, it is real. So you guys are getting some of these right. some
Brandon,
of
what
these
does it
wrong.
mean?
Let's not focus too much on the details. You know who could explain it really well?
Probably like
tastytrade, because they have an actual jargon library that breaks down these terms, help you understand so you can trade with understanding.
Wow. Are you saying I could go to tastytrade.com/lemonade today and that Tastytrade Inc. is a registered broker dealer?
That's exactly what I'm saying. You finally got it.
Okay,
That's
I'm
exactly
picking
what
up
I'm
on it.
saying.
And it's a member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
Well, hold on. Is it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in. Thank you, Tastytrade, for supporting the show. You guys think, though,
Okay, well, sorry.
That it's worth it?
What?
It's hard, like, going around, at least to, again, like, these are like the tier 1 cities where apparently the struggle is really being felt a lot more on the smaller ones. But there's part of me, it's like, I don't know, maybe leveraging themselves into a massive bubble, but at least you get massive infrastructure, massive buildings, housing everywhere. Everything is, you know, cheap and affordable. It's like, I would rather that than what we got, which is no infrastructure, no housing, no, it's, you know.
100%.
I think it's definitely a pro. It's like, okay, well, you know,
If you're gonna make a giant bubble, it's like this is one of the more valuable ones. Like one of the bubbles we keep doing is bombing the Middle East, and I would argue that's less interesting
There's a less
and
return on
valuable.
that.
Yeah, the ROI is lower.
Don't
Talk about it later.
nip it in the bud so early.
You know what? Let's let it play out.
Why don't we wait and see? I think I've been thinking about that. Like a lot of people, I think a common criticism I hear is how much different the rural countries, the rural parts of the country are, and how much lower the quality of life is. And while I think that's true to a degree, asking people here, they've been pretty insistent, and from the little parts of what we've seen, that quality of life in rural areas has drastically improved compared to what it was in the past. Like the level of infrastructure access that even gets built out to more rural areas has been incredible.
Anecdotally, as we went across a 6.5-hour high-speed rail from Chongqing to here, I was looking outside most of the time, and it was like little villages, and you could see everywhere condo buildings going up, bridges going up, infrastructure going up. Like it is touching like everywhere.
Yeah.
Even if maybe the leverage and fundamentals behind the finances are bad.
No, I think like we just clearly underinvest in infrastructure in America, and so it's obvious that we take this trade. I do think he had a really good point, which is about there's maintenance costs on all of this stuff. It's all freshly built, and so it's extra nice, but the maintenance costs add up, and if it wasn't able to be supported before, it's like harder now. But yeah, overall, I agree. I think this was a better use of debt and money than other things, right? This is just, it's clearly had some positive effect.
You guys really scrutinize this whole Iran thing. I don't get what's up. Keep bringing it up.
Gas is $50 a gallon here. It's unbelievable.
Okay, I think that whole section on real estate is really good. Any other things I don't like about China after three white guys spend 2 weeks here?
Dim sum fucking
No, the
sucks.
dim sum is incredible.
No, that's the only.
I wanted rice paper.
It's
The
it's
least,
just so extraordinarily wrong. It's I don't
Sorry,
even know what
G.
to say.
I'm sorry.
They're-
It's-
let me rephrase that. The people who order dim sum here fucking suck. They don't order 15 plates of bao like I do. I thought it was going to be this feast of bao, and instead they keep
Right.
ordering
They
me
keep
goose
ordering
and dog.
delicious food
We've
that-
had so much. It's incredible. Like the food. I should be clear. The food quality is incredible, but it's not exactly what I get in America,
Right.
and that is a tragedy.
we had McDonald's last night.
I did.
Yeah, little Mickey D's.
I did. I didn't want to go anywhere, and I couldn't figure out food delivery on my phone, so I went downstairs to the McDonald's next to the
Chungus
hotel.
phone.
Yeah.
Okay, Aidish, can you put up the photo of what Aiden looked like when we went to get hot pot in Chongqing? It's very spicy food there. Aiden refused water.
Oh yeah. We got to give credit because you're going to be pissed off. You're going to be fighting the war in the comments.
I'm too tired.
You had the most spice. You were the best among us. But
Also, water doesn't. I would say water, like famously, doesn't help with
let's
spice.
be clear though. They gave us a bowl of water to dip the meat into.
And I didn't use that.
to reduce the spice, and you didn't use it.
Yeah.
But yet you were like, I don't need the water. I'm tough. But then you started crying.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
sweating and crying and getting flushed red. But you're like, oh, this is not even bothering me.
I kept
as
pulling-
you shovel more spicy meat in your mouth.
Chongqing is
And it's
famously
like-
spicy food, by
I
the
kept
way.
accidentally pulling full peppercorns out of the pot. So it's funny because for the first 30 minutes, I'm like, this isn't even that bad.
Yeah.
But by the time I got to the end, so many peppercorns had accumulated in the little bowl that I was like eating multiple at a time, and I was like, oh, it keeps getting spicier as we go. Like, my
swelling up.
forehead is like a waterfall at the end.
The workers were staring at us. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
We showed a picture to the factory owner, and he was crying, laughing. He thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, but you guys make great food, G. That's I don't know what your favorites are if you dig the
Yeah,
spice,
G-
but
经济实力
Yeah, a couple small things. Smoking. A lot of smoking everywhere.
The weird thing is Xi has exclusively been eating these rice crackers. Can you hand them over? Mita Wangzi rice crackers really, I think, are going to be a huge hit in America.
Is
now,
it legal
again,
to imply that Xi Jinping endorses these rice crackers within China?
Thank you, Xi. And I just, you know,
I mean, he does because he's right here, but
oh my god, that's so good. Now, as a reminder, this is the rice cracker brand that I'm going to try to buy a bunch of rice crackers from. And people in Discord were going and trying to find it online so they could buy some. And it doesn't exist. Like, you can't.
we didn't make it up. It's
No, I just mean that, like, this is not a company that's, like, selling to Americans, right? Like, I have to buy
he
it
said they're only
wholesale.
doing like 40 crates or whatever.
I had a thought.
I'm gonna
Is if
get
we're gonna
so much-
pile a bunch of these on our set for a couple episodes, after that, we should just sell them at no margin. We should just
Oh, we're just a pass-through drop shipper for.
because we're never going to eat them all.
Why don't we eat them? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
I did.
It's a pass-through, but Doug gets a little tax on each one.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have my complaint.
What's your
It's
complaint?
funny because even by my own memory, having been to mainland China a long time ago, and I came in like 2011, a bunch of people have talked about how much traffic standards have improved, how much smoking has improved, and as far as the traffic stuff goes, it's one of the results of the like Skynet camera system. There's more video to like hold people accountable for breaking the rules, basically.
Dude, I looked into this. Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
I looked into this. I wanted to see more concrete comparisons in like justice application across China. I looked at some Europe countries and looked at America. And there are concrete studies that show, and I think Singapore has learned this as well, that it's not the length or the strength of the punishment that matters nearly as much as applying it 100% of the time. So, in fact, prison sentences are longer in America. But if you are hit every single time with a fine or a short prison, they have this, I mean, I don't even know if I like this, but they have like a 20-day prison sentence they can give you before you've even been tried, which is kind of crazy. I don't.
That's insane.
But I just understand that, like, if you are getting hit every time, they have like a 95% conviction rate or something absurd, then you just this mathematically you don't try it anymore. You just don't do it. The gap of crime exists in the area of thinking you won't, of the risk reward of whether or not you will get punished.
Yeah, I mean,
And so
You're saying there's a small number of criminals,
yeah,
and we need to do what needs to be done.
not what I'm saying. I think that's what we're doing
I'm
in
reading
America.
in between the
no,
lines
I'm
here,
saying actually
loud
you
and
could
clear.
be less punitive, but if you were 100% applying it, if people know that some people are getting away with it and some people aren't, then the law loses all meaning. I'm not advocating for the system in general. I'm just saying like that is why I think you're seeing.
The opposite end of this.
Reduction in crime.
The opposite end of this is like my car has gotten broken into twice in LA semi recently, and I don't have any hope that that's
have no
gonna,
recourse.
nobody's going to do anything about that.
It's been a number of people that we've talked to that bring up the homelessness in America. That seems to be like a thing that is broadcast to people on social media or whatever else, where they are shown like, well, it's way worse in America. At least it's not that bad. And that's so interesting that has become a sort of like, I don't know if propaganda is the right word, but this like, point of comparison that people keep saying. Well, like we've heard from 2 or 3 people now, like, well, in America, there's all this homelessness on the street. And then that includes from the factory owner who has gone to Los Angeles a whole bunch and has just said, it's gotten really worse. And like that type of thing can't happen here because of the government systems.
Yeah, he told him the murder rate was down. He's like, well, numbers are numbers, but
Yeah, the feeling, when his family, like his son lives in America until very recently, and he's visited all the time to like talk to prospective American clients, and just said it just feels a lot less safe over the past 10 years. And that's like in kind of our area of LA. Like this is Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so
it's and this is coming from a relatively pro-American guy.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of business in America and overall has like a fairly positive view of America.
I was not expecting that aspect of, one of the big challenges that we are dealing with in America to be something that is basically constantly brought up and broadcasted in other countries to be like, well, it's not as bad as America. It's so strange.
no, very big here.
But keep in mind, we've only been to 4 major cities, basically. There's asterisks on that of stopping in smaller places as we go. But we have seen, I would say, 1 obviously homeless person the whole time.
Yeah. Yes, there's no homelessness, but essentially none in the major cities.
With the camera system from earlier and people talking about that improving traffic and things, my nitpicky complaint is that the smoking and the traffic here are surprisingly brutal. Like driving in the city is very chaotic. The rules around driving seem much looser, much more dangerous. You always have to be on the lookout to get from getting hit by something. Crosswalks feel like they mean a lot less. And that's saying something from coming from Los Angeles where they barely mean anything. And then smoking is just allowed in so many public spaces.
Yeah, I've had some smoke blown in my face a couple times here, and it's just you kind of forget.
Yeah. It's just, and even compared, it is less. Like I remember being in Beijing in 2011 and being like, there's so much smoking, and there's less than there was back then. but it's still a ridiculous amount and not as like segmented.
I don't feel the same. I feel like
Really?
I feel like the traffic is bad, but you know, it's like a little more chaotic than Los Angeles. The main difference being there's scooters everywhere. That's notable. Like as a pedestrian, you're constantly having scooters like zip around you. And then like, yeah, they're smoking, but compared to like other countries you go to, I don't know. It's just like a European country. I mean, you've spent more time in Europe. I feel like you see a person or two smoking every block. It's not like everywhere.
I think it's not that smoking
is
doesn't
way
exist. It's
less.
where it can happen. It's like,
Yeah, that's fair.
like for example, when we were at lunch yesterday, our guy who drove us, he was the guy who drove us from Shenzhen, and he was outside the room in the restaurant, like right outside of it, just smoking a cigarette in the building.
There's people in the elevator like hallways
Or
in Chengdu that are just like smoking
Or in the spa.
in the stairwells, or the spa.
There's a good amount of
we
smoking.
we went to a bathhouse, and two guys were smoking in the bathhouse. It'd be like going to like the
Which is hard,
Korean
by the
spas in LA. It was kind of badass. It's like
It is
fully,
hard, just to be honest.
fully naked, leg up, and I did see that, and I was like, maybe it's better here, bro.
They got it figured out. Yeah, the smoking the scooters are definitely like the most day to day. Like you might notice the difference.
I think if you're like for me, I think if you're thinking about cities that have like beautiful urban planning and like ultra safe layouts for their streets, like in a place like the Netherlands, it's not like that at all. There's like gigantic roads, gigantic highways. People like when we've been in cars, our driver will just like pull out in front of like a mother with two people on the bike, and she'll have to slam on the
better
brakes.
know. She better know.
I don't know. I think that's I don't love that part.
Yeah. I mean, I for me, I think the scooters are just like, there's so many areas that are fucking awesome. Everyone's walking around and enjoying themselves, and the vibes are good, and there's no sound except for the sound of honking scooters trying to get through, and they're always having to dodge them. And you know, I understand they're a part of this economic movement, but if they didn't exist in that area, it would be like it's flawless outside of that in terms of we're all walking at night having a good time. The vibes are good, and it's honk, honk, honk. So,
any last big like criticisms of China having been here for the 2 weeks?
This is a fucking incredible country, and I think everybody should come visit and see it for yourself. And I think there's a degree of, you know, we talked about this in the Patreon episode, and I believe you guys were chatting about it in a separate one about the comments that we've gotten on our episodes about the general sentiment of, oh, people are biased, right? They can't talk about how they actually feel, or they have this skewed worldview and whatever else. And I think coming to this place, even if you don't spend the amount of time that we've done, at least like 50% of our trip has been like interviewing or talking to people, asking them about their experience of China, I would say. Even if you don't do that, it's hard not to come here and be like, this is way different than what I expected. You know, what we are told it feels like everybody's learning that now. It's rapidly, it's like, you know, and we're contributing to that literally right now with the show I think we're all realizing it of like, oh, these stereotypes we had about what China is and how it works and what's going on. And even if they like what's going on, they're these hyper nationalists that are biased because, no offense, of a certain, you know, interviewee. And it's just, I think just come here. And obviously the caveat of we've been to 4 cities in a
plenty
more to gigantic see, country.
Plenty
We've
more to
talked
do.
to like 13
I actually think it's good
people
to watch
out of
Ludwig's tip to tip too. He's
1.4
seeing a different side of
billion.
China.
Yeah. Whatever your preconceptions are, whether they be positive or negative, I think if you come here, and it's not as hard to come here as you'd think, they will be challenged in some way. You will learn so much in such a short period of time. And we were kind of making this joke about how, like, well, if you were visiting America and you only visited like New York, Boston, and Baltimore, like how much would you really understand about the country? And it's like, it's true. You would have so much more to understand about what America is like and how people live there. But you would have a way better understanding than not having been at all.
And only having gotten TikToks and, you know, mainstream news in your country. And
yeah, if you're Canadian, like you can go without a visa now. Even if you're American, like it was like a 2-week visa process. I'd just really, really encourage people to go because your mind will be blown in so many ways.
That wasn't exactly as negative as you prompted.
Yeah,
me
this was
to.
not the. Like,
I truly just I don't have a lot of negative. Like literally, the one thing is it's fucking miserable to use the apps here, and they use apps for everything because the translation is all inconsistent. Like at least on my phone, it's been very challenging. And that's going to get fixed. That's like a current minor thing.
Yeah, the absolute firewall suck. What I would say is I think the purpose of us coming here, like I didn't come here to, I don't know, like reinforce bad idea, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I came here to find things that are surprising me and things that possibly we could learn from. There's no world where I'm like going to try to become a Chinese citizen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm coming here as almost like a learning fact-finding mission to see like, hey, this country changed radically in 30 years. Is there things we can take away from that I could bring back to my country and like advocate for? That's why that is the thing that's most interesting to me. That's why I think going to these big four cities is the best places to go to learn the things I'm, possibly all of us are interested in. To see like, what is the outlier here? Because obviously we can go to the rural parts and see there's parts where there's poverty, but that almost feeds into the stereotype that I already knew. Like that I could confirm that. But what is crazy is like, a modern city developing in 30 years. Like, how did that happen?
You can make a city. You can make infrastructure.
Yeah.
You can make housing. It is possible.
Yeah.
You see it all around us. It's not impossible. Like, we can do it in other countries. I hope we do. And I hope the success of China instigates the rest of the world, and particularly America, to actually fucking do something, to make things for our citizens.
It's interesting that China causes this. I was thinking about this, though, because what's funny is, like, you can go to things I'm impressed with this city is like clean, great infrastructure. I've seen that in European cities. I've been to European cities where they have that. I've seen that in Tokyo. But something about China, I think because they're also becoming competitive in high-tech areas that America used to dominate, is like causing a sense of, whoa, you can do both? Or, I think there was almost a sense that like, America had worse cities, but it was part of the trade-off.
Innovation.
We got the innovation. It's
Yeah.
like the competitiveness led to it. But so I think China's causing that reckoning in a way that like a nice little place in Europe didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why it's different.
I think it's good. I think this will continue to put pressure on other, hopefully our politicians to be competent, to invest in infrastructure, to like not just fucking fight in Congress and never change anything. That's what I'm hoping for.
When will the check drop?
国防实力
And is that in RMB or is that in USD?
Was it USD? We
'Cause
can clarify
I would
that.
prefer USD, right? For the now.
Apparently, we were told they're handing out money to influencers,
It's so
and
funny.
we didn't get fucking any of it.
Didn't get shit.
We are not being. I guess for our lovely, incredible patrons and viewers for supporting the show. Thank you so much.
I guess I can't let the fucking state pay me for going. I guess I can't fucking do that, dude. Yeah, whatever. Whatever, dude.
You guys want to cap off the episode with a few tapas that are
Yeah.
about tech events?
You do a small topic called the Iran War. Can I please talk about it for 1 second?
Yeah. Is it about the 2,000
paratroopers
paratroopers
that
that
are
are getting
dropped
moved into
in
the region?
Christ. Yeah, fun stuff. All right, let's go. So there's different things you can do in the world. One is you build a mega city with 40 million people with incredible infrastructure.
Or you can go beast mode.
Or
You can go beast mode. You know
or
what's
you can
weird?
do what needs to be done.
Me talking to Andy at lunch yesterday, it's like you may have all of this and you may have a successful company, and I recognize that, but you've never gone beast
You never
mode.
gone beast mode.
Yeah.
In an M1 Abrams tank. No, dude, I'm continually struck by how often the Iran War is covered here everywhere. Like, not only on social media, I was in a diner last night at 11 p.m., massive TV, people are all watching, covering the Iran War in a way that I think like, I just think people aren't even, they're aware of it. I think people call it Iraq. People are just not as aware of it in America. It's like everywhere here.
You think people aren't aware of it in
No,
America?
they're aware of it, but I don't think they could give you specifics. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to put words on it, except that I'm struck by how often it's covered. I'm seeing it all over the place. And it's like treated as a really big deal people are talking about. And I don't think I would see the same thing.
I mean, I feel like it's such a dunk to villainize America.
Yeah.
Like you barely, even your state media, and you have an antagonistic relationship with the U.S. It's like you don't even need to change anything about this one.
No, this
you
one's-
you
this one's
can
kind of a
just talk
freebie.
about it kind of as it is.
This one's kind of a freebie.
Yeah.
In the dinner I had with the friends yesterday, again, they're 25-year-old Chinese citizens, and at some point we were talking about Trump and just how we're not a fan, and then they were like, how much longer is Trump in office? It's like 3 more years. And they're like, it's only been a year? So like to people in China, they're like, Really? He's done this much in a year. Not a lot of positivity about Trump that
The
we've heard
waitress
this.
at the diner I'm at, she's like smiling. We're chatting it up, and she asks me where I'm from, and I say Los Angeles, and she doesn't know, and I show her, and she goes, "Oh, America." And then her face gets sad. She gets like completely changed her attitude. And she goes, "I don't like Trump." And I was like, "Damn, bro." I don't know. It was.
I think I stressed this point a while ago, but and maybe it doesn't. It obviously doesn't matter to some people, or it doesn't matter to a lot of Americans. But it's hard to stress how, as someone who's traveled quite a bit, how people's perception of the U.S. has changed within that time. I think there's always been a little energy of like anti-Americanness from places
There's always
around
been
the
a
world.
snootiness in Europe,
Yeah.
but
It's
in
different
like a
now.
friendly way. It's
When
different now.
Yeah, it's like you guys are doing crazy shit over there.
Yeah, you Yanks. Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I need to straight in the last 2 years, it has become pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it's way
It's
worse.
become pretty embarrassing to tell people you're American because their reactions paint the picture for you.
Well,
And
I think this is a good time to introduce our second guest to kind of counter. President Donald Trump is over here on the right.
Wow.
Again, forgot the camera. Anything you have to say, really, about our reputation?
Our nation is back.
Oh, it's great.
Xi, what do you think?
跃上新台阶。
What we like to do in our interviews is get someone from both sides of the
We
perspective.
steel man it.
never
crossfire.
say we didn't do anything for you.
But do you guys know what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz right now? Can I give you a minor update?
I do know this one thing,
Okay.
which is quick. France recently made an announcement that 30 to 40% of oil refinement capacity in the strait has been damaged or is completely wiped out. And this is expected to reduce oil output by, I think, 11 million barrels per day. And I thought that was pretty wild, like 30 to 40% of
But at least
refinement. And that 30 to 40% of the area that makes a fifth of the world's oil.
Okay, but we did.
No, we
get-
didn't get anything yet until these paratroopers land, and then we'll see what happens.
Well, Trump is planting seeds for trees he'll never sit under the shade of.
And I appreciate that about
Right?
Big T.
Yeah, unselfish.
So the Strait of Hormuz, was previously freedom of navigation; anyone could sail through it. And now, because of the war, Iran was started by mining it and threatening to shoot you if you went through it. But now they've switched to a new phase where they have created a small section that you can pass through if you pay the Iranian government, whatever remains of it, in yuan. So they've created a petro-yuan toll booth that countries are now paying to go through. And they're making a lot of money.
I just think, again, countries building infrastructure.
So this creates a real panic. So again, we know the Trump strategy usually is to come in, leave a dump there, and then declare victory and walk away.
Leave a dump?
Yeah. Die.
You okay, man?
Oh, I'm dying, bro. I'm actually dying.
I think she what did you
Jinping, what
slip a little?
what was that osmanthum tea you gave me or
Dude,
whatever?
we're crossing the finish line of this trip just fucking covered in dirt and mud.
I know,
We're like a
we're-
car with all the tires are popped, the engine's on fire, and we're just barely crossing over.
We're crawling over
We're
the finish
struggling.
line,
All
bro.
of us. Last night, Aiden couldn't go to dinner because he had a fever. Like, we're just dying, man.
Okay, sorry. As I was saying, this toll booth, basically, Trump cannot back away. Like, he can't declare victory and walk away because now the new reality in the Strait of Hormuz is that you must negotiate with the Iranian government and pay them money. And they are saying no U.S. ships, no U.S. allies. So everyone is now incentivized, if this stayed the way it was, to get rid of their security agreements with America and get a bunch of yuan so you can pay that. I mean, it is a catastrophic new reality on the ground from where it was before this war happened. And so he can't walk away, which leaves the only option being escalation, which means the reports we're seeing of paratroopers, and that's 2,000 paratroopers, but also 14,000 more troops being mobilized, they line up with what's going on. Now, there's no confirmed boots on the ground yet. There are confirmed paratroopers being moved to the area, but
This is also, we're recording this a few days before it goes live. So there's a
who knows what could happen.
wide
Yeah, anything
window
could
for
happen.
the
We are-
lemonade stand curse.
yes, the lemonade stand curse. Hopefully we
should not talk about these things with this much time in advance.
But it is just, I gotta say, I really honestly believe this Iran war is this biggest fuck up of his 10-year career. I think it's such a disaster. And, I think it's worth asking what you guys have heard and seen politically back in America, but it feels, Twitter used to be a really pro-Trump place. And I have been scrolling, and even all the right-wing accounts are like, they're just turning on. I do not see the support. It's like the digital flags are gone. I truly think it's collapsing in real time. Now, this is all day by day, but I legitimately think the force of the movement is gone. He just, the county that Mar-a-Lago is in just flipped Democrat. The Mar-a-Lago county. Like, I don't know. It just feels like I'm seeing a total evaporation, which hopefully leads to some change eventually, because I really think as, if this doesn't get solved in 2 weeks, let's say 10, 14 days, the knock-on effects are going to start to be really, really big, because companies will have to default on their contracts, declare force majeure, which then goes down the chain. Refineries declare it. First, the oil tankers declare it, then the refineries declare it, then the power companies declare it, then everyone down the chain. And you just end up this massive clusterfuck. And a lot of countries, in fact, America least of all maybe, are going to be feeling dramatically higher prices. And I think, they might be mad. Some of the Gulf states might be mad at Iran, but I think generally the vibe is going to be like, they know what caused this. They know what it was before and what it is now. And I think it's going to be a bad sentiment. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm doomer on this Iran war, bro. Maybe it's based. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's all going to work out. But I think it's turning out pretty poor. But it's a live update. We can definitely follow up with more as it happens. This is day by day, and maybe things I'm saying could be out of date. Maybe it's all open and things are clear, and Strait of Hormuz is flowing by the time you see this, which would be an incredible outcome, and I hope for it. But I'm just doubtful.
There's just not a lot of good here. I don't know. It is weirdly one of those topics that feels like there's like less to talk about, because it's just so one-sided.
No, yeah, I agree.
I think we try on this show to think about the other viewpoints and express them or understand them, and it's like there's nothing, man.
I mean,
like, what
I feel
the
like
fuck
even the best case version of this that you could even discuss is that this will be the leverage point that potentially allows the Iranian people to free themselves from the oppression of the regime that they're under. That's like the most glowing outcome you could possibly say. It doesn't seem like that.
It's
not
also
happening
the
at all.
nuclear program, right? Is them agreeing to shut down the nuclear program. That would be the other one where Trump could say, "See, we did it. We saved the Middle East and Israel and every other country from nuclear-armed Iran, who explicitly states they want to kill America," right? So,
but what I feel like is happening instead is that they're going to get a lot more money from this toll booth, and then they know they need a nuclear weapon as fast as possible.
And they're also going to be like, "Why the fuck didn't we put up the toll booth before?" Like, thank you, Donald Trump.
Dude, I literally think this toll booth is wild. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Trump is like, he comes over there and bomb shit. It's like, yeah, bet you won't turn on your infinite money machine that has total control over the world.
Have 90 million people next to this tiny strait. The fact that they didn't have a toll booth before is like a huge benefit to the world. So
I mean, maybe a stupid question, but why is the reason they get to, not in this specific situation, but the straits in more general terms, why do they get to set up the toll booth when there's so many other countries on the strait? It's just because they're the biggest?
Anti-LGBT. It's only straight.
No, they don't get to. They're just doing it because of the war, and no one can like it. Other countries will be mad about this, and perhaps after the war is over, we'll figure something out because it's a huge tax on trade.
Yeah.
But right now, they're just doing it, and no one can stop them. What are you going to bomb them? You're bombing them. They're being bombed.
You can fit a lot of toll booths in that strait.
Yeah, there's America could do
for a
second toll booth on the outside if we wanted to.
That's how we counteract it. Yeah. We're like, we're putting another one in.
But yeah, so we don't have to talk about this anymore. You have other stories, and I do want to hear them. These tech stories.
Let's do one fun little topic to end it at. So on Tuesday, this is the couple days ago as of recording, the New Mexico Department of Justice in America won a massive lawsuit against Meta, Facebook's company, and basically found that they're liable for misleading customers about the safety of the platforms and endangering children. So the quote is like, "This is a historic victory for every child and family who's paid the price for Meta's choice to put profits over kids' safety. Meta executives knew their products harmed children, disregarded warnings from their own employees, and lied to the public about what they knew." And so this is interesting, I think, because Meta might be kind of fucked, because this case happens. The background of this, they're ordered to pay $375 million in civil penalties not a ton for a company.
For that company.
For a company that has 1.4 trillion market cap. But this is just New Mexico. And basically the way this set up is New Mexico did like an undercover sting where they sent, they had two of their investigators go undercover and pose as underage girls. And they were able to find pedophiles online who were reaching out to them, right? So it started as this operation of like, hey, we're going to try to do that thing where you entrap, is that the right word? Honeypot, whatever. You find pedophiles, right? But what they found while doing this undercover operation is like, that was very easy for creepy adult men to reach out to accounts that are clearly underage girls.
Right.
And so they started to build a case based off of this and then started to basically, sue Meta in this pretty high profile case and say, hey, you are endangering young people through the access that it's giving to kids. And these employees from Meta, former employees, have been coming out, and the most damning evidence is them testifying that while working at Meta, they expressed concerns about the damage this was doing to kids, or that executives were explicitly aware of it and then ignored it. So the one quote from Arturo Bejar said his own 14-year-old daughter received unwanted sexual advances on Instagram. And his quote is like, the product is very good at connecting people with interests. And if your interest is little girls, it's very good at connecting you with little girls. Brian Boland, a former VP of marketing for 12 years there, left in 2020, and he said he absolutely did not believe that safety was a priority to Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg. And they're uncovering these various times where internally Meta does research or has findings that show this stuff is really addictive to kids. It's really easy for adults to get in contact with kids, and they then didn't do anything to stop it. So the employees from Meta are basically surfacing this information about how they are aware of the addictiveness of their platforms. The next day, in a Los Angeles trial, Meta and Google were both accused and convicted of harming a young woman's mental health and are ordered to pay $4.2 million.
Zuckerberg is ruined. How will he survive?
Wait, to that one person.
So yeah, so I bolded that because it's funny. Google has to pay 1.8 million. But if you think about how this goes, so this is a 20-year-old woman sued Google, Meta, TikTok, and Snapchat, saying that they contributed to her anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, and other conditions during her youth. And Meta in the courtroom argued that, hey, it was actually your disruptive home life and your parents got a divorce. Damn. They don't love you. And they said, that's the reason you have mental health problems.
Being the lawyer for Meta arguing that your parents don't love you.
I mean, that was not the actual argument. It was like, hey, she had a fucked up home life.
They
That's
always
the
like
problem.
discredit, right?
If your parents loved you, you would be feeling bad at all.
You wouldn't need to scroll Instagram.
And so again, they had internal emails that surfaced. One of the internal emails presented in the case said, quote, our overall company goal is total teen time spent. Mark has decided that the top priority for the company in the first half of 2017 is teens. They found research that showed the parental controls weren't effective in curbing teens' use of social media. TikTok and Snapchat settled out of trial because they didn't want to deal with this, which is damning. So I think both of these are very interesting because they are two cases where Meta, in a high-profile lawsuit, lost badly and was convicted of saying, you have intentionally designed a platform that harmed young people. And if you think about the fact that that was just New Mexico and just Los Angeles, how quickly and at what a massive scale this will turn into is mind-boggling, right? Like, the $4 million, this is $4.2 million they had to pay to a single 20-year-old woman, right? In the New Mexico case, it was $5,000 per violation, which is basically applying to anyone in New Mexico that this could have potentially affected. There is a world where, there's already apparently thousands of similar lawsuits starting up where every social media company, it has to be on this extraordinary defensive to say they didn't fuck over the mental health of our entire youth.
It's youth specifically. So like in the case of the 24-year-old woman, she's talking about the time period where she was using these apps underage.
So she's 20 now.
Yeah.
The lawsuit's been going on for, I believe, 2 years. And this is about saying in my youth, before I was an adult, I was a teenager, this was harming my mental health. And again, it's like the other companies seem to have a better argument, but Meta just has this evidence that they're like, oh, we're trying to make teens use our apps more. Oh, it turns out this is really addictive. Great. And they're just not, This could be a major catalyst to these companies having to, I don't know, fucking shut down in the worst case.
This makes me think of two things. Number one, whatever this investigative team that helped find the pedophiles on Meta is, put them on Roblox right now. I got a feeling. Get on Roblox. I feel like it's going to be the next fucking pedophile story. Roblox is so massive and it has so many kids on it, and I just feel like nobody's investigating it.
It's also a good, I mean, if you're an adult who loves being friends with kids, it's got to be just friends.
So a real reckoning, you're saying.
A real reckoning.
You never text a 14-year-old about life?
Roblox games and the second thing.
Gee, you ever text a 14-year-old?
Gee, what up with that?
What up with that? How much Roblox you playing, G? The second thing is you talked about parental controls not working, or at least Meta not making them effective.
Yeah.
It reminded me of all the children we've been speaking to in China.
Well, that's a strong way of putting it. Every time we've had the opportunity to talk to a parent or to somebody who is younger, we have asked, there's a rule in China that you're only allowed 3 hours of gaming per week if you're underage. And all of them are like, no, you get around that.
Yeah, everyone gets around that.
No, you just get around that. Yeah. It's one of many things where you hear about these dystopian things in China about like, hey, if you say anything about the government, they're going to pull you over. The police are going to get you. And you get here and you're like, no, it's not that extreme. There's rules, and then everybody like kind of skirts the rules exactly like we do.
Dude, it was funny, the guy saying that the TikTok or the Douyin sensors are asleep at midnight, so you just go and scroll it at night. And
yeah, you post the more charged political content at midnight because then the sensors aren't watching.
That was an interesting revelation. A lot of people talking about how the online sensors are the most, the things that crack down the most, but because everybody is trying to push the envelope online all the time because your posts will just get struck down most of the time if you cross that. And they find like new words or new pictures or new phrases to describe like different aspects of the government, and like that's the new trend of how that person or thing is labeled. And then as soon as it's struck, like people just move on to the next thing.
Just make a different term.
And there's a mixture of like automated censoring and manual censoring done by staff that are doing it. So at midnight, when the least people are working, that's when you can post with the most freedom, which was super funny.
It is wild. Do you think this will get censored? I was with Xi Jinping on the.
I mean, you've had a great time.
You've got a great time,
right?
I do apologize. We kind of talked over him a lot this episode. Like he did not get too many words in edgewise, which I think we might have wasted our opportunity.
Yeah, I think what we do. A really sincere thank you to our audience for supporting the show and allowing us to do this. Really, truthfully, this is one of the most meaningful trips I've been on. So informative and interesting, and dare I say, it was pretty fun too, hanging out with with our crew. To thank you, Stevik, our lovely, incredible interpreter. She happens to be in the same general vibe as G. Completely different people. Perry for producing all of this. Thank you guys for supporting. It's just been phenomenally interesting. I don't think it would have happened.
Dude, there was a time, either last night or the night before, we were all in a Didi, which is like an Uber, and the Chinese woman who was driving put on a fun.
No, hold on. All right, we got
it.
No. It's not that she randomly decided to do this. All of us are in an Uber. We're in one of these hectic streets where people are crossing into lanes all the time. I will admit, the lane crossing is very chaotic. And then Aiden in the front seat puts into his translator app, you can pick a song, and shows it to her. So then in the middle of like a fucking freeway, she's like she's like veering to the side as she's searching for songs, only looking up at the road every 2 to 3 seconds, and then eventually puts on this song and starts driving normally again.
And it's a banger. And it's just a heater.
A banger.
And so after it's over, we're asking about the song, and she doesn't quite understand the question, so she just thinks we're play the song again.
Right. I say I like the singer's voice.
So she plays it again, and then we kind of get into the bit. And so after it's over, Aiden's like, all right, we're done. And then I pull out a translator and please play the song again. And so for the entire rest of the side, we just do the song on loop. And then we're kind of singing along. It's all in Chinese, so I can't. But she's singing along. And the vibe was we're all having a good time. And I just thought that was a beautiful moment on the trip. Everyone was smiling. There's a language barrier, but everyone is having a good time. And I thought it was a beautiful moment. I really enjoyed.
We listened to the song 6 times.
That's a long song, too.
Dude, it's one of those things. When you go to another country, it doesn't matter what you hear on the news. You sit and you talk with people in person, and people are kind and caring, and we're all good people.
And I will say that the people who we met here who have been to America said the same thing about the regular people. Everybody's the same everywhere. Their problems are very similar. The average person's just trying to get by, make enough money to live, have a family. You have some free time. Like everyone's trying to do basically the same stuff all over, and everyone has more in common than they have different. And it sounds trite, but it's so true. And you get it on every one of these trips we go on.
Yeah, and just if you get a chance, I would come here for yourself. I think it will be revelatory no matter where you stand on anything or any way you feel about China.
Pick up a basketball, bring it, dribble it for yourself.
You guys slandered me so hard.
You can't listen to some podcaster and just trust his dribbling. You got to dribble in that country.
I'm just glad my 5 new friends from high school, which, by the way, with Bad of the Pedophile episode.
Sounds like fucking somebody needs to sue you.
Check out Roblox and Chinese basketball courts.
Thank you for joining us on this trip.
Seriously.
We've made a bunch of extra like walk and talk episodes on the Patreon. If you want to check those out, they're on patreon.com/lemonade stand. And where we address some of the other like questions people have left on the episode. But yeah, thank you for supporting us, and we will see you back home next week.
We'll let Xi Jinping sign off.
业有所成，万事皆可期。